Hello, and good morning or good afternoon to everybody here. My name is Max Edwards. I'm the US-based sales engineer for Kakapo Systems. And today we're really excited to go over our brand new product, Vision360. Now, what we'd like to accomplish for this webinar is number one, we want to go over what is Vision360. We're going to go over a technical demonstration of the platform. We'll cover how this can help you and your clients, and then we want to break for question and answers so we can give people time to ask any questions that they may have. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's dive in. So number one, if anyone noticed the tagline on the introductory slide, what is Vision360? Vision360 is a complete replacement for the legacy ECCR and DBS platform. So Vision360 is a contact center reporting and analytics platform for BroadSoft-based providers. Vision360 provides effortless access to real-time and historical data with powerful and customizable analytics and reporting tools. Now, why Vision360? So Vision360 was designed to include all the benefits of ECCR and then some. So we've added additional things such as Cradle To Grave Reporting. We've added the ability to not only customize reports, but when this product releases, you'll also have the capability to schedule those customized reports as well. So it's not just the canned reports that you can receive via email. The other thing is there was a big need for addressing the lack of reporting options available for non-call center customers. So we've tried to address that as well. We've added outbound call reports, with the idea for outbound sales teams. We have auto tenant and hunt group reports, as well as regular user reports for non-call center users. Instead of continuing to talk about why Vision360 is so great, I actually want to go ahead and start showing you the product in action. So let me flip to my browser here. Let's log in. And this is Vision360. So a couple of things about the dashboard here. Number one, the dashboard that we're seeing right now, this is the dashboard that everybody's going to see as soon as they log in. There's no additional configuration needed. There's nothing that your provisioning or your engineering teams need to do in order to get this dashboard to appear like this. It'll just appear for everyone as soon as you assign them the license and they log in, they'll see everything as is. So very little in terms of actual configuration. Now the dashboard here was designed to highlight, what we consider some of the more important metrics and important things to cover in a call center. So number one, your first eight boxes here, we have things such as how many calls in queue, calls answered, how many unreturned abandoned calls we have, wait times. And if I scroll down on the left-hand side here, you'll see for our top performing queues, we have things such as answered, abandoned, overflowed, agents joined. And if I wanted to get a better idea of what my agents are doing, then I can actually go down and scroll and take a look at our top performing agents. So far, it looks like Lee is in the lead here, answering 7 calls. Has an average handle time of 28 seconds, so Lee's very efficient, and he's currently available. You can see other users are signed in, available, signed out. Pretty much you'll be able to see exactly what your agents are up to at the moment. We can actually see someone's on wrap up too. Now, if I just refresh this real quick, if we go down to the right-hand side for from top performing agents, there's a couple of things I want to point out. So number one, the live now. Hovering over it, we do have 2 calls live in queue. If I scroll up again real quick, sorry for the scrolling, you'll see the 2 calls in queue. You also have that down below, and then that turns into a pie chart if an agent answers a call, so you'll see how many are in queue versus how many are answered. Clicking on it, like you can click on almost anything, you'll be able to see what callers are actually waiting. So 2 people call them to support, start time, queue position, their duration, and if they were talking to an agent, you'd see that here as well. Going back to the dashboard, your call outcome is directly tied to your total calls here. So the call outcome just takes every single call, throws it into a pie chart, and then it divides it based on the, what's happened. I can hover over things to see how many abandons we had, how many escaped. But if I go up here, I'll have that same information. It's just split out, by time, and it's in a different format. Maybe we take calls a little bit earlier or a little bit later. I can always adjust the start time and end time here, so I can make it match really my operating hours to really fit what I need. The other thing too is you can change the interval as well. So maybe I get a lot of calls. I want to see it in 15-minute intervals. I can do that. The default is 30, but you can also go up to 60. Now, the other thing that you can do with the dashboard here is you can see we have the 1 minute and 34 seconds, our longest wait time. I can change the time frames that this data is being shown for. So instead of looking at just today, I can look at the last week, for instance. Everything will regenerate and show data for the last week. I can also go ahead and do it for the last month as well. So you can get a lot of great data from here. And like many things, pretty much everything is adjustable. So now that we have spoken kind of about the dashboard a little bit, I do want to dive into some of the different reports and go over some options that are available. So diving into the calls answered takes us directly into our call center summary. And you can see here we have all the metrics that you get on your ECCR reports, your incoming calls answered, bounced, outbound DNS, held, abandoned, so on and so forth. It's actually, this default report's a little big, so you have to scroll to see everything. Now, what if I don't need all this information? This is a lot of information. I don't need all these metrics. So as I mentioned, for all of our reports, and I'm going to bump this out a little bit longer too. For all of our reports, you can customize them. So maybe I don't want to scroll quite so far. Let me get rid of something. So to the right of your search bar, you have this icon here, and then I can add or remove any of the different statistics that I want to see or I don't want to see. So, maybe I don't have a huge focus on service levels. We'll take those out. Maybe I don't really care as much about the average wait duration, but I do care about holds and all that. And maybe, in this case, I'm not interested, or I'm not interested in seeing overflowed calls at the moment. So it's really easy to add or remove whatever categories you want from here. The report will automatically reconfigure itself to show what you want it to show. And for any users who may be a little unfamiliar with what some of these statistics are, you can actually go ahead and hover over any one of these categories or metrics here, I should say, and then the system will actually tell you what that metric is. So it'll explain it to you, and if there's a calculation needed, it'll tell you what the calculation is. In this case, number of calls abandoned within the threshold and out of total abandoned calls times 100. Now, one of the customization is great, being able to customize reports. However, one of the features that we're going to be adding by the time we go to market is reporting templates. Now, reporting templates will allow you to save any customized reports, so I don't have to come back in here and add or remove the metrics that I want to see. I'll have a list of customized or saved reports, and I'll just click on the one I want. It'll automatically load everything the way I set it up, and you can name them like Max's Modified Call Center Summary. Now, the other nice thing about that is if I go into my scheduled reports over here, we will have, all the different CAN reports that you can schedule out. So you have a list of CAN reports here, and we'll be adding even more as well. So this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg as far as that's concerned. But you'll also have a separate section for your customized reports. So if you created some report templates, and let's say you wanted to send out, Max's Modified Call Center report as opposed to the whole call center summary, that'll be an option for you down below. So you'll be able to schedule out those templates. And then the intervals right now are daily, weekly, and monthly. At the moment, each report is generated at midnight, and that's when it's sent out. However, on our roadmap is the ability to customize those times that reports go out. So let's say, I want a weekly report for my call center supervisor because, he likes to see things first for the last week, first thing in the morning when he comes in, at 8:30. I'll be able to schedule it weekly, Monday at 8:30. That's when he'll receive that report. And maybe I have another user who wants to receive the manager or the owner wants to receive a call center summary every day at 6 p.m. We'll be able to set that up for every day at 6 p.m. So you'll have additional customization options. And then naturally, in order to send those reports out, we'll just throw in other users' emails here. The system will always insert yours by default because we're assuming that you want to receive this report, but you can add in as many as you need. Or if you want, just go ahead and throw in a distribution list as well. As soon as you're finished, all you do is you press save, and then you're good to go on your scheduled report. Now that we've looked at some of the, we looked at one of the standard reports, the customization options, we looked at the scheduling section, I actually wanted to move on to some of the newer things we've added in. So number one, abandoned calls. Abandoned calls are definitely, a really important metric to keep track of in call centers, and definitely something that we want to, assist in keeping track of. So we have the abandoned call summary here. I can see per queue how many calls were received, abandoned, percentages. This call's abandoned in 10 seconds. That's a customizable threshold, so I can always pop into my profile and I can update that from here as well. However, the thing that I wanted to mention and go over right now is the unreturned abandoned calls. So let's say I call into one of your call centers and you have Vision360 set up. So I call in, and after a minute, I think I'm busy, I gotta go. I hang up. I get added to the abandoned call summary because I abandoned, but I also get added to this unreturned abandoned calls list as well. Now, what happens is, let's say I call back in 30 or 60 minutes later, and then I actually connect with one of your agents. So I call into the same call queue, I get an agent. Because I actually am on a live call with an agent, at that point in time, my number will then be stripped off this list, because for us, a returned abandoned call is when that caller who abandoned previously calls back into a call center and connects with an agent in real time, or if we place an outbound call from that call center to that abandoned caller. If we have a successful connection at either point and we talk to that caller, they then get stripped from this list. Really great tool for any call center supervisors who want to prioritize calling those callers who truly have abandoned and haven't been helped yet. Which, sometimes we have the ability to do if maybe there are times when the call center is super busy, all agents are busy, we have a lot of people on the phone and waiting in line, when we get to those lulls where we don't have quite so many callers waiting, this is a great tool for those purposes. Now, the other thing that I also wanted to point out in the ACDQs portion is the Keep My Place in Queue call summary report. So just in case anybody's not familiar with Keep My Place in Queue, pretty much it's our callback in queue system. I can call into a call queue with Keep My Place in Queue enabled. I can press 0 or whatever other digit we have configured to allow a caller to escape the queue. And then as soon as that happens, on the BroadSoft side, they'll go to a message saying, we have your information, we'll give you a call back when we're available. The Kakapo cloud, so the Kakapo virtual call center, is going to actually retain that caller's information, and that call will be distributed following the normal prioritization rules. So if I call in and I put in for a Keep My Place in Queue request, Lee calls in 2 minutes later, unless a supervisor prioritizes Lee's live call, the next available agent will get my request before they get Lee, the live caller. We actually have another webinar coming up on Keep My Place in Queue where we'll go much more in depth on it. But basically, this report here will allow you to fully take advantage and unleash the potential of that feature. On BroadSoft or ECCR reporting, Keep My Place in Queue requests just come through as escape calls. Here, you'll actually be able to see, how many requests were made, how many, what was the average length of those callbacks, what was the longest time someone waited for them. So it just gives you a lot of additional information that wasn't previously available. Now, there are a few other things that I wanted to go over. So I mentioned that we've been adding in additional things that weren't available in ECCR reporting, such as being able to report on non-call center cases and non-call center stats as well. So for that, we've added in our auto attendant hunt group as well as some of our user and department reports. So for your auto attendant summary, for instance, this is just going to tell you, and let me increase the time frame here. This is going to tell you how many calls were received per auto attendant, how many were transferred, which means, someone pressed an option to go to sales, or, I dialed somebody's extension. You'll see how many callers did not leave the auto attendant, as well as how long people are spending in the menu or the average duration that they spend in the menu. I can even take it one step further and go into our option summary. And here it'll actually show me what options people are choosing from the auto attendant. So I can see that, for instance, in our multi-level auto attendant, someone went to 8018. However, it looks like most people abandoned. Same thing with our single level. And, what this would tell me as an administrator or as a supervisor is, maybe our auto attendant menu isn't set up properly. Maybe the prompt is just misapplied. Maybe we applied a prompt for one auto attendant and it needs to be a different one. This just gives me additional information that I didn't previously have available that I can now look in and say, okay, looks like maybe we need to do something with our auto attendants because everyone just seems to keep hanging up when they get there. The next thing here would be your hunt groups. So we've heard a lot in the past that a lot of customers, the customers of our customers, are looking for additional reporting on non-call center applications. Hunt groups being a big one. So with your hunt group reporting here, we try to treat it a little bit like call centers, so you can look at hunt groups as a whole, at the hunt group level, or as I'll show you in a moment, you can also look at it at the user level. But pretty much you'll get all the metrics that people would want for hunt groups, such as received calls, answered calls. Using call center terminology, we have abandoned calls. So in this case, anyone who hangs up while the hunt group's still ringing. You have total wait, average wait, talk time, total duration to answer. A lot of great stats here that just previously weren't available and should really give your clients what they're looking for in terms of hunt group reporting. If I wanted to take it, a little bit in a different direction and go to the user side, what I can do here is I can actually see all the different users who are in our hunt groups, how many calls were received, how many were answered. And if I wanted to take a closer look, I can click on any one of these users and we can see exactly, okay, admin received calls from the test hunt group in the accounts department. Looks like all those were unanswered, so maybe we need to turn his ringer on, or maybe admin is not supposed to be in that hunt group to begin with. So again, we have access to some more information that wasn't previously available that can help us make decisions to better assist our clients or callers in the future. Now, the other thing I mentioned on the slideshow is that we have Cradle to Grave reporting. And so part of that is, your auto attendant, your hunt group reporting, but the CLI tracing is what I really like to show for that. Now, what CLI tracing will do, if I throw in a phone number here and I search for it, at the outset, it looks kind of like a big call log, a big complicated call log. However, what everything in here is, it's showing you the main call as well as every single leg of that phone call. So instead of having to try to figure out through reports and looking at different reports to see who went where, this report's and this section, I should say, is actually going to give you all of that right up front. And to make it easier, when you start going down the list here, the system will automatically highlight every single related leg of a phone call, so I don't have to guess based on the time and the date, which leg belongs to which phone call. So for instance, here we can see on June 6th, this user called in, processed by the ACD, it bounced off Agent Aaron, but Agent Max answered it and they're on the phone for about 6 seconds. So, short conversation. Similar one down here. This one's a little different. It bounced off of Max, it went to voicemail. This is an outbound call. So again, you're going to see all the different legs of a phone call and you're going to see what happens, basically what happened or the result of those. Now, I also like to scroll over to the right here, and there's a couple other metrics I like to add in. So one of the things I wanted to add in would be our failure reason, and the second one is going to be the external tracking ID. Now, your failure reason here is going to, and I apologize, I don't have one at the moment, but it corresponds with the SIP response code that the server gets. So if a call fails to a user because they're on Do Not Disturb, for instance, the failure reason listed would be busy. So you'd see busy here. If there's a network issue, not found, you'd see that listed as the failure reason. So it lists a specific reason as to why that call failed. So oh, okay, maybe Aaron, and if it said, failed and it said busy, maybe Aaron had his Do Not Disturb on, or maybe he accidentally enabled it. It just gives you some more information that you wouldn't previously have. Scrolling over a little bit more, you have your move from and your move to, so you can see where calls are transferred to, your recording state. But the other thing I like highlighting here is your external tracking ID. So this is really great to help with troubleshooting. So I'm really familiar with Palladium and White Monitor, two different softwares you can use to track SIP signaling and kind of track your different call legs. This external tracking ID here corresponds with the call ID in Voigtmon. So if a customer sent me this and I had Voigtmon open, I can paste that in and I can find that call exactly without having to dig, without having to ask for more information. I can pull up that call immediately. The benefit of all this additional information here is, number one, it gives your clients and your customers more information about what's happening with phone calls, why a call may have failed. where did the call go? Was the call recorded? It also can help you drive to resolutions much faster. So if a customer has some call quality concerns, they can provide you much more relevant information so you can much more quickly diagnose and help them solve the problem, which just makes for a happy customer. So this is a really powerful section that I think will really add a lot of benefit to everybody. And the last thing that I wanted to go over here is, I mentioned it before, but this is something that I also really like. The outbound call reports. Now, if you have any clients that are, have outbound sales teams that are not set up in call centers, this is really where this report will shine. So I have an outbound sales team of 50 people. I want them to place 100 calls a day. That's what I want, 100 calls a day, and I want them to be external calls, naturally. We're calling prospects and clients. So here I can see how many total outbound calls. I can see how many outbound external calls versus internal. So I can make sure people aren't trying to run up their numbers by calling each other or calling voicemails on the inside. I can see their total durations, average durations, and again, I can customize this. So while we have everyone selected, with reporting templates, if you have multiple sales teams, you can, like sales, you can divide them however you want, and then you'll be easily able to kind of flip between them so you can focus on what you need to focus on. And just like everything else, you can also click on any one of those users and you'll see the whole list of calls they've made, and you'll see all the information associated with it. So a really great way to track it. And then something apologize, folks, something I meant to mention before, you can export any one of these reports at any point in time directly from the portal. Just click this icon here to the right of your metrics button, and then you have 3 formats: Excel, PDF, and CSV. Scheduled reports at the moment come out in Excel, but when this goes to market, you'll have those 3 options for your scheduled reports as well. All right, so that covers everything I wanted to go over on the demo. Let me switch back to our PowerPoint real quick here. And briefly, before we break for question and answers, I just want to talk about how Vision360 is going to help you. Number 1, deployment is easy. Licensing is easy. So I mentioned before, there's no additional configuration that anybody needs to do in order to get that dashboard or those reports to pop up the way we saw them. As soon as the license is assigned to an account, customer logs in, they'll see everything the way I saw it. Number 2, just assigning the licensing. It's going to be like a button you click on the portal. Or it's a flip of the switch, really, is what I should say. You flip the switch, and then the appropriate licensing gets pushed out to all the different users. So it makes your job a lot easier in terms of enabling Vision360. This product was developed with customer feedback in mind. Vision360 addresses what your customers want to see and what was missing in reporting previously. And just like everything else, we're always open to additional suggestions, feature requests, and the Vision360 you see today is just the beginning. We have a lot of plans. We're really going to spend a lot of time developing and adding on to this product. You probably saw as I was going through, the interface is really clear and very easy to operate. So that should translate to less time your trainers need to spend training customers on this. And what we like to say is, if anyone has ever used any sort of call center reporting tool before, within 15 minutes of them logging into Vision360 for the first time, they should have a pretty good handle of where to find the data they need and how to do a lot of things within the portal. So it should be a very easy ramping up period. And then the last thing I want to mention before we break for question and answers is the pricing model is designed to make this available to all. It's a very simple pricing model. Like I mentioned before, we really want to make this product available to everybody, and we want to really push this out there. So we designed the pricing model to make it easy for that. The other thing I wanted to mention is, we may have demoed this to some of you already in the audience. If you haven't gotten a personal demo from us, please feel free to reach out to us. Lee and I are very happy to go over this product with you. You can reach out to me, if you're in the US market, if you're in the European market, reach out to Lee. But we're happy to go over demos, discuss more in-depth, questions. And the other thing too I wanted to mention is, for anybody who's interested, we'd love to get Vision360 in your hands right away. So if anyone wants to get Vision360 set up internally so you can start testing it and start kicking the tires, so to speak, absolutely let Lee or I know, and then we'll basically get you the information needed so we can get Vision360 set up for you. Now, I feel like I've been talking for quite a bit here. So at this point in time, I'm going to invite my colleague Lee to join me, and then we'll go over any questions and questions that you folks have had.
Thanks, Max. Yeah, we've got a question. When will Vision be ready?
Great question. So Vision should be ready within the next 6 to 8 weeks. That's our release date, or that's what we're looking at right now for a release, about 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, another one just popped in. How long is the data retained for, please?
Great question. So as of right now, data is being retained for 13 months on Vision 360.
Oh, one last one. Are we able to use Unity Supervisor in conjunction with Vision 360?
Absolutely. So the whole thing with Vision 360 is it's meant to kind of, as I think I mentioned before, it's meant to completely replace ECCR and DBS. So with your Unity Supervisor dashboard, functionally, there's not going to be any differences. Users will be able to push that reports button. They'll have a list of, they'll have the same reports window pop up. The biggest difference at that point will be it'll be populated with Vision 360 reports as well instead of ECCR. We do have the additional option, as I showed, though. We can always go into the portal, and there will be a way that you can log directly into the portal from that reports button as well.
If we have two hunt groups that lead to the same call center, can we, in any of the statistics, see which hunt group the call came in from?
That is a great question.
CLI tracing.
Yeah, CLI tracing, number one. That's the easy answer. I was trying to think of other ways. There will be other ways in order to do that, but definitely CLI tracing, absolutely.
It gives you all the call legs, where the call came in from, if it was ACD processed, which hunt group it went into, and then which call center it connected with, and then obviously which agents were offered the call, who bounced it, who received it, who took the call. Yeah, CLI tracing will do that. One last question, Max. Will Vision support single sign-on and multi-factor authentication?
That is a great question. So there will be a single sign-on directly from the Unity client through the reports button. And in terms of multi-factor authentication, there will be. Actually, that should already be live on Vision 360 as well as our additional products.
That's correct, yeah. Every time you sign into Vision with a different IP address, it asks you to sign, two-factor authentication comes into play.
Yep, I learned that the hard way with the VPN, so. Perfect. Any other questions, folks?
Nope, all good.
No? Okay, well, again, we wanted to thank you folks for joining us today. We're really excited about this product. Can't wait to get it in all your hands and can't wait for it to release to market. As I mentioned, if anyone is interested in more information, if anyone wants a demo, wants to talk about getting this set up internally, I'll just flip back real quick. Feel free to reach out to either Lee or myself, and we'll be able to get you everything you need so you can get running with or get started with Vision 360. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day and wonderful rest of your week.